Stampers, welcome to Great Inspirations. My name is Kim Tolbert and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thank you for joining me. Today I have a card to share with you, and I'm sure you are thinking, Kim, really? That card is not very interesting at all. And you're right. This is a card design, and this design is something that I'm going to take and show you how adding colors in different ways, or many different colors, you can create one card design, use one card design, but create several different looks for your holiday cards this year. Now, all of the supplies you will need for the cards, the cutting dimensions and instructions will be found on my Tuesday, October 19th, 2021 Tinsel Time Tuesday blog post. And in the description of this video, there will be a link to my blog. So let's get on and talk about what I'm going to do with this card design. Now, first, let me show you the stamp set. This image comes from the Whimsical Trees stamp set that can be found in the current Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. And as you can see, I used this image, but I stamped it several times to get the design. And this stamp set also comes with coordinating dies, but I'm not going to be using those today. We're only going to use this one image and some sentiments to create a card. Now, I'll show you the cards I created. Here's one. And as you can see, I've used several shades of red and green, a very traditional Christmas look. And the mat for the focal panel is the green foil sheets, which can be found in the current mini catalog. Now the second card, for this card I did a little research into 1950s Christmas ornaments. I just did a search online and I came up with several color palettes that would have been nice for this card, but this is the one I chose. Have some Poppy Parade, a little pool party, some smoky slate, and petal pink. I wanted this card to have a bit of a retro look. I've matted it on some Bermuda Bay cardstock and then just put a very simple Merry Christmas greeting. Now this next card, my mom loved all things Victorian. And every year I would make her a card that had a Victorian inspiration to it. She passed away several years ago, but every year I still make a Victorian-inspired Christmas card. And for this one, again, I did another search to find some Victorian color palettes, and I chose one that had some lighter colors and a few more darker colors. And as you can see on this card, I've left two of the ornaments white with the exception of the center and the ornament top. Now, this focal panel was matted on some gold glimmer vellum, which is also in the mini catalog. So now this card, I was really surprised, pleasantly so, how it turned out. It kind of has like a woodsy or natural look, and I used some of the cork specialty paper that is in the current mini catalog. The images were stamped with soft suede, and then I just colored them in, the ornaments, with the Stampin' Blend markers. And I used some cinnamon cider, some crumb cake, and soft suede. And the tops and the lighter color is the ivory Stampin' Blend. So there's that one. Now for these, pardon me, For these next three, I didn't color each ornament. For this one, I got sort of a classic look of the gold and white. I always love gold and white cards at Christmas. And I just heat embossed the ornaments and the greeting. I matted the focal panel on some brushed metallic cardstock in the gold. And 1, 2, 3, it was finished. So there's that one. And then this one is a monochromatic look. For the focal panel, I used blending brushes, and I added some soft succulent ink with the blending brush, and then I added a bit of mint macaron ink. Then I just used the evening evergreen ink to stamp the images and, of course, the greeting. Matted the focal panel on some evening evergreen cardstock. And I just thought it turned out really pretty. I really liked the way it turned out. Now for the next one, it's a little bit whimsical, and it uses a non-traditional Christmas color, in that I used the polished pink, and I just did a watercolor wash. I used the water painters. I used the broadest brush, and I just lightly stroked on the color, and serendipitously it sort of looked like, to me, a peppermint stick, sort of. And then I just used the polished pink to stamp the images and the greeting. So there are some of the color schemes and colors and ways to add color that I came up with. But now I want to give you some tips on actually, number one, cutting out these panels, and number two, stamping the image on the panel. Now, this panel is 5.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches long by 2.25 inches wide. And if you take a piece of basic white cardstock that is 8.5 by 11, we'll bring in the paper trimmer. And if you put it with the 8.5 inch side at the top, got to open it up. Oh no, I don't. We only need to have it at 2.25. So we're going to trim 2.25 inches off. There's one strip. We're going to slide this in here and trim off another 2.25 inches. 2 strips. We're going to do it one more time. There are 3 strips of 2.25 by 11, and then you will have this strip that is 1.75 by 11, which you can use for scrap to stamp other images, for your sentiments, etc. But you have these 3, and I'm going to put them together. And I know it's probably going to dull my blade, but I'm going to put all 3 of them together just for purposes of demonstration. Put them all in here, cut them in half, and there you go. You have enough panels for 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So that is a quick and easy way to get your panels cut out. And then when you're ready to stamp, get another one here. What I do, instead of stamping this way, I turn it to the side, just like this. I'm going to bring in the stamp, and I'm going to use just some basic gray for demonstration purposes here. Ink it up, and then I start in the center. Now, if you did not want, we're going to pretend this is 2.25 inches wide. If you didn't want to cut these in half before you stamp the images, that's fine. Then after you stamp the images, you can cut them in half. But either way, whether you use the 5.5 inch length or the 11-inch length, when you go to stamp, start in the middle. and then have long, they're hanging down long, then I do short, I do some long ones again, and then over here we're going to go off the edge just a tad with the short one. We're going to go back here, short, long, and then a short one. And then you've got it from edge to edge. There's no stopping and starting. Oh, made a little mess there. But you get the idea. And it would be the same if you left it at 11 inches. You just keep going and then just cut it in half. So there's a panel. And that is, like I said, for me, turning it sideways and stamping works better than doing it this way. But you can do it any way you choose to do it, whichever way works for you. And now we're going to talk about using our grid paper to mount this on its mat, and then to mount this piece on the card base. So we're going to put a little liquid adhesive on the back of this panel. Oop, doesn't want to start today. There we go. Oh, now it's a lot. Okay. So, I'm going to put this panel. Normally, I don't know if you won't be able to see it. Yeah. Get it along the, well, let me see. Yeah, you can see. Okay, so what I do is I try to put it along the darker edge, especially at the top, the darker line on the grid paper. And then I know that I need, just because of the measurements, and these are each 1/4 inch. So I know that I'm going to need to have about one of these little blocks at the top and one at the bottom. So that's going to make it easy for me to just line this up. And then I come down here, one down from the dark line, and there we go. It's that easy. And we do the same thing when it comes time to put it on a card base. Now I know this is pretend card base. It's just a piece of cardstock. But again, I use the dark line. I'll flip this over this way. There we go. And I want to get it not centered because we're going to put a greeting down here. So what I usually do is I kind of get it to where I want it. Okay, yeah, the two blocks down. Okay, so I want my greeting here. So we have a greeting here. So let your heart be light. And it is from the Whimsical Tree stamp set. I'll stamp it first. Oh, perfect. If you stamp it first and you mess it up, then you can just get a new card base and you won't have to throw everything away. Or start totally from scratch. So, now we're ready to adhere this because we have our greeting on. So I'll see if this comes out better this time. So like I said, I thought that about 1, 2, that would be like 1/2 inch. That looks pretty good. So I line this up 2 blocks down, over here 1, 2 blocks down, and there we go. Works every time. That's why I like the grid paper so much. And this can be found in our annual catalog. Or you can do a search in the online store for grid paper. Okay, now let's take one more look at these cards. Like I said, there's something for everyone. There's kind of the retro look, kind of the Victorian inspired look. This one, kind of a woodsy natural look. The nice little elegant gold and white, a monochromatic look. And then, of course, this one, my little peppermint, my little whimsical, non-traditional colored greeting card. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching my videos. If you've learned something and if you are happy with what you've seen, please give me a thumbs up. And I certainly invite you to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, stamp happy.